Should investors diversify their metals portfolio outside of gold? Joining me today, Ryan Giannotto. He is the Director of Research at GraniteShares ETFs. Ryan, welcome back to the show.
It's great to be here, Danielle. It really is fantastic, yes.
Yeah, well, I like how you say maybe we need to think about being more exotic. And by exotic, you're looking to the platinum group metals.
Yes, exactly. Well, a lot of times when people think about metals, they'll think gold. Maybe they'll get the silver, but a lot of times the conversation ends there when, honestly, that's where things just start to get interesting in many cases. You know, there's this whole arena, platinum, palladium, and rhodium, that largely falls outside of, the radar, falls off the radar for many investors.
It absolutely does, and I see it by our content. People want gold, they want silver content, but they don't find, platinum, palladium, or rhodium as entertaining. But you're saying this is a mistake, that we should be looking at the PGMs. And we'll go over some numbers, because platinum up 19% year to date. Palladium went parabolic, 10 times this year?
Yeah, palladium has gone,
right?
it's been staggering, to say the least, yeah.
So we shouldn't be overlooking the PGMs. Make the case.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that was a very interesting way you positioned it, because honestly, I think the PGMs are even more dynamic. Gold has had a very favorable year, even amidst a bull market, but it's been there. At those periodic moments of market stress, gold has offered downside protection. But even amidst this environment, a lot of the PGMs have offered a lot of, dynamism that you're not going to see out of more traditional metal exposures.
So how do you suggest one get involved in the PGMs? Obviously, you work for an ETF, so you like the ETF. So what about physical platinum, palladium? Obviously, you can't bring rhodium home, but... Exactly.
yeah, rhodium's really off the grid. But I don't even think there's an ETF on it at all. But so a lot of these can be obtained, through specialized dealers or whatnot. That's a good option. But, to start with platinum, it's actually outperformed gold this year, and platinum has come out of a multi-year deficit. It's had a very, very hard time for a number of years, and it's historically inexpensive, and really offers a lot of potential opportunity there, especially in comparison to some of the other PGM metals, which have just gone absolutely seeing incredible amounts of performance.
What has really been the catalyst behind their drive this year? Is it just a question of catalytic converters and new emission standards, or is it a supply crunch that we're seeing in South Africa, Russia? What can you tell us about the fundamentals?
Exactly. So that's what I like about these, and adding different diversifiers to your diversification sleeve. Because each of these is subject to their own micro and macroeconomic trends. And I like the way you put it, that, the catalysts, in many cases, are the catalysts for these metals, the catalytic converters, that is. We've seen this massive shift, the favoritism towards palladium. And it's been a story recurring about how, the substitution for a platinum will happen, or it may happen at some point just on the horizon, but it just hasn't gotten there yet. And now palladium has been testing the $2,000 an ounce level, just recently.
Do you think it could break through 2,000? Will it get there in 2020?
Yeah, will it break 2,000 in 2020? That's a very good question. We saw this last surge based upon, the dynamics of the labor stoppage in South Africa. It's not a terribly transparent situation, so that in itself adds a premium. Is palladium overbought right now? Quite potentially, but that's not to say it's not going to keep going.
Interestingly enough, I was speaking to another expert who was telling me actually a big driver of demand for platinum and palladium will be jewelry out of Asia.
Yes.
That Asian cultures are turning more towards platinum and palladium for jewelry over gold. Is this a trend that you've also seen?
Yes, it is a trend we've seen, and it's sort of, I would almost say it's a bit of mean reversion. Platinum had fallen out of favor, especially as it fallen down into, it fallen in a deficit to gold. Now it's historically inexpensive to gold, and really historically inexpensive to palladium.
And I love how you define these metals as exotic, because when we think exotic, we think, well, at least I think, I don't know, alligator shoes, Hermes bag. I wouldn't think of PGMs as being exotic. But
well, I do, because when you go and look at these dynamics, especially with rhodium, the metal has gone up 9 times in the last 3.5 years, and it's still 40% below its lows. This is really, really dynamic. And it also, it's speaks to, I think, the hypocrisy of the cryptocurrency movement, because we've already had these assets that have straddled the border between commodities and currencies, and it's called PGMs, and it's really dynamic. They trade very, very very exciting fashion.
So Ryan, do you think that the PGMs have the greatest potential in the commodity space in 2020, more than gold and silver?
It's tough to say. I think platinum in particular offers, a lot of opportunity, a lot of potential, because there has just been this startling schism this chasm between platinum and palladium. Will there be reversal? Very recently we've started to see some movement back into platinum and, even into palladium, even as it's kept going up, which has been striking.
Now that I have you here,
sure.
Do you like silver and gold as we're about to enter 2020? How do you see them as part of a portfolio?
Yeah, well, honestly, I think gold, in terms of just the all-round, all-weather, metal, I think...
All-weather protection.
Yes, yeah, I do. Whether it's, that's one of the striking things about gold. It's working hardest for your portfolio when you least notice it. We often think of these as instruments of total return instead of, providing, independent drivers of return. And that's a very, very nuanced difference, but incredibly important.
Do you come bearing good news for all those patient silver investors out there?
Well, honestly, if I have to go on the gold side of the trade here. That's my personal preference. I like to think of silver as almost the gourmet version of copper. I might get some hate mail for this,
okay.
But silver is so rooted in the industrial metals segment, and it's like premium copper. It's it's the non-GMO, it's the organic copper.
Okay.
And
so on your Santa wish list, it's still gold, then platinum, then palladium.
I think rhodium is really, really a very cool story, because here's a really interesting tidbit here, is that platinum is 10 million times rarer than titanium is. Well, rhodium is an additional 5 times rarer than platinum in terms of annual production. It's really, really, only 30 tons of it are produced each year.
And we saw it hit $10,000 once upon a time when there was an electricity issue in South Africa.
Yes, yeah, no, that's the thing too. These metals are highly concentrated in terms of production. And there is not a lot of transparency. A lot of time, in the markets today, everyone is talking about how the insider information, the private information has all been sort of arbitraged away. This is an area where there's still a lot of, there's a lot of opaque dynamics occurring here. And that definitely adds sort of a mystique, a premium to the price action, the risk premium. Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of rhodium fans out there are going to be happy that you're shining the light on this not spoken about metal, So.
It should be a bigger part of the conversation. It's an interesting metal. It features a lot of the same uses as, palladium and platinum, and it should be spoken about more.
All right. Ryan, thank you always for your research and your insights.
Yes.
Happy 2020.
I know, it happened here already, yes.
Back in studio, we'll talk more about rhodium next year.
No problem.